I tricked my coworker into quitting his job. The fluorescent lights of the office hummed, a constant, irritating drone that usually faded into background noise. Today, though, it felt like a personal attack. I stared at the lines of code blurring on my screen, the same code Greg would likely present as his own brilliant solution in tomorrow's meeting. Greg. He was a walking, talking LinkedIn profile, all buzzwords and empty promises. He joined the company about a year ago, a few months after me. From day one, he'd made it clear he was on the fast track to, well, something. I just hadn't realized that something involved climbing over me. It started small. A casual, "Hey Mark, mind if I take a quick look at that function you wrote? Just want to familiarize myself." Then, in the meeting, it would be, "Yeah, I optimized that function too." Even Mr. Thompson, our team lead, seemed impressed. I tried to correct Greg once, mentioning it was actually my work. But Greg just chuckled. "Oh right, collaborative effort. Mark, teamwork makes the dream work, eh? Teamwork. Right. Like a parasite and its host were a team." The real kicker came when I finished building the API interface. I was particularly proud of it. It was clean, efficient, and solved a major problem our clients had been complaining about for months. I presented it to Greg on Friday afternoon, since he would present on Monday to Mr. Thompson. I walked him through the logic and was clear on the potential issues. He was mostly just listening, nodding every once in a while. Monday morning, Greg walked in and did the presentation, as promised. All went well, and he was receiving praise from the group, including Mr. Thompson. "Excellent work, Greg. It's really solid." As he was closing the presentation, Mr. Crack Thompson asked if there were any potential issues, and Greg's response was along the lines of, "No, sir, it's airtight." I was beside myself and could not believe what I was hearing. I tried to ignore it, chalking it up to a misunderstanding. Maybe I hadn't been clear enough. Maybe Greg genuinely thought he contributed more than he had. But then it happened again. And again. Each time, a piece of my work, repackaged with Greg's signature brand of corporate jargon, became his latest triumph. The frustration was a slow burn, eating away at my motivation. I started dreading coming to work. My weekends were spent replaying conversations in my head, crafting the perfect comeback I never had the guts to deliver in the moment. I finally confided in Anna during one of our increasingly frequent coffee breaks. Anna was sharp, perceptive, and didn't suffer fools gladly. She listened patiently as I recounted the latest instance of Greg's borrowing, her brow furrowing with each detail. "He's doing it on purpose, Mark," she said, her voice low. "He's systematically taking credit for your work. Mr. Thompson eats it up because he's too busy to actually understand the technical details." "But what can I do?" I asked, feeling defeated. "If I call him out, I'll look like I'm being difficult. It'll just backfire." Anna leaned forward, her eyes glinting. "Document everything. Every line of code, every email exchange, every meeting. Keep a record of exactly what you did and when. It's tedious, but it's the only way to protect yourself. And then, we get creative." And so began my descent into meticulous record keeping. I started a private repository, meticulously documenting every contribution I made to each project. I screenshotted code commits, saved email threads, and even started taking notes during meetings, capturing Greg's exact words when he misrepresented my work. It was exhausting, but it gave me a sense of control. I wasn't just passively accepting Greg's behavior anymore. I was building a case. Things took a turn for the worse when the promotion for senior engineer opened up. It was the next logical step in my career, and I knew I was qualified. I'd consistently delivered solid work, I was a reliable team member, and I was always willing to go the extra mile. Of course, Greg applied too. He launched a full-scale charm offensive, schmoozing Mr. Speeding Mr. Thompson at every opportunity, volunteering for extra projects which he conveniently pawned off on the rest of us, and generally making himself look like the ideal candidate. He started spreading subtle digs about my work ethic. "Mark's a great coder, no doubt," he'd say, within earshot of Mr. Thompson, but sometimes he gets a little heads down. Doesn't always see the bigger picture. The bigger picture, apparently, was Greg's reflection in the corporate mirror. The day Mr. Greg's reflection in the corporate mirror, Thompson announced the promotion, my stomach dropped, and the senior engineer position goes to Greg. The blood drained from my face. I could feel Anna's hand squeeze my arm in silent support. Greg beamed, shaking Mr. Thompson's hand with an almost theatrical enthusiasm. I managed a weak smile and a perfunctory "Congratulations," but inside, I was seething. It wasn't just the promotion itself, it was the blatant injustice of it all. Greg hadn't earned it, he'd stolen it. That night, after a long, sleepless night, I made a decision. I was done playing nice. I was done being passive. I was going to fight back. My revenge wouldn't be loud or dramatic. It wouldn't involve yelling or accusations. It would be slow, calculated, and devastating. I would use Greg's own arrogance and incompetence against him. I started subtly undermining him, planting seeds of doubt in Mr. Thompson's mind. I'd ask leading questions during meetings, gently probing Greg's understanding of technical concepts. "Greg, that's an interesting approach. Have you considered the potential implications for?" Or, "Just curious, Greg, how does that solution scale with?" I made sure to phrase everything as genuine inquiries, cloaking my intentions in a veneer of helpfulness. Mr. Thompson, bless his oblivious heart, never suspected a thing. Then, I started feeding Greg carefully crafted misinformation. I'd accidentally leave outdated documentation on his desk, or casually mention a new feature that was actually a dead end. I watched with grim satisfaction as he confidently incorporated these errors into his work, setting himself up for a spectacular fall. Anna, of course, was my accomplice in all of this. She helped me refine my strategies, offering valuable insights into Greg's psychology and Mr. Thompson's management style. "He's predictable, Mark," she said. "He wants to be seen as a visionary. Give him the illusion of control, and he'll walk right into your trap." We also started working on a side project, something that would specifically show Greg's incompetence. It was a tool to automatically detect and flag security vulnerabilities in our code base, something he would have had absolutely no expertise in. The climax came during a presentation to a major client. Greg was showcasing a new feature he'd supposedly developed, a feature that was built on the flawed code I'd intentionally provided. I sat in the back of the conference room, my heart pounding in my chest, as Greg confidently walked the client through the demo. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, until the system crashed. Not just a minor glitch, a full-blown catastrophic failure. Error messages flashed across the screen. The client's faces turned from polite interest to barely concealed annoyance. Greg stammered, his face flushed with panic. He frantically typed away at the keyboard, but nothing seemed to work. The system was dead. Mr. Thompson's face was a mask of fury. He excused himself and Greg, and the rest of us sat in uncomfortable silence. After about 10 minutes, Mr. Thompson stormed back in with Greg trailing behind him. "What the hell was that, Greg? Mr. Swarm?" Thompson roared, his voice echoing through the room. "That was a complete disaster. You just cost us a major client." Greg, sweating profusely, pointed a shaky finger in my direction. "It's Mark's fault. He gave me faulty code. He sabotaged me." The room went silent. All eyes were on me. I took a deep breath and stood up. "That's not true, Mr. Thompson," I said, my voice calm and steady. "I can prove it." I pulled out my laptop and connected it to the projector. I pulled up my meticulously documented evidence, the code commits, the email threads, the meeting notes. I showed how Greg had consistently taken credit for my work, how he had ignored my warnings about potential problems, and how he had ultimately misrepresented the functionality of the feature he was presenting. The evidence was damning. Greg's face paled as he watched his lies unravel on the big screen. "I even have the tool we've been developing to show security vulnerabilities," I said, and pulled up the demo, which immediately worked. I looked at Greg. "It's clear you don't have this skill set, Greg." Mr. Thompson stared at Greg, his expression a mixture of disbelief and anger. "Is this true, Greg?" he asked, his voice dangerously low. Greg opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He just stood there, his career crumbling before his eyes. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Mr. Thompson stared at Greg. Thompson ushered Greg out of the room, promising to deal with this immediately. Sarah from HR was called in, and an investigation was launched. The next few days were a blur of tense meetings, whispered conversations, and nervous glances. Greg was placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. Then, he sent out a company-wide email. It was a rambling, self-pitying mess, full of accusations and justifications. He blamed me. He blamed Mr. Just Thompson. He blamed the company culture. He claimed he was being unfairly targeted, that he was a victim of office politics, that his genius was simply too threatening for the rest of us to handle. The email only made things worse. It confirmed everyone's suspicions about Greg's character and sealed his fate. A few days later, I got a call from Anna. "He quit," she said, her voice filled with a mixture of relief and satisfaction. "He took a severance package and ran." I felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief, certainly. Satisfaction, definitely. But also a sense of unease. Had I gone too far? Had I become the kind of person I despised? The office atmosphere improved dramatically after Greg's departure. People were more relaxed, more collaborative, and less afraid to speak their minds. Mr. Thompson, chastened by the experience, started paying closer attention to the technical details of our projects. I was offered the promotion I had originally been denied. I accepted it, but the victory felt hollow. The taste of revenge was bittersweet. One evening, a few weeks later, I was working late in the office, trying to catch up on the backlog of work that had accumulated during the Greg saga. I heard a noise outside the window and looked up. It was dark, but I could make out a figure standing across the street. It was Greg. He was staring directly at me. I froze, my blood running cold. What was he doing here? Was he planning something? Was this the beginning of another chapter in this twisted saga? I watched him for a long moment, my heart pounding in my chest. Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows. I sat there for a long time, staring out the window, wondering if I had truly won.